Hi everybody, it's 13th of March, just 12:30 midday. I'm due to go to the clinic at 1, start treatment, and I felt like sharing. The scan went well yesterday. I put myself just into a place of deep peace and just, even though they basically injected me with this radioactive sugar, and then I sat there for an hour while it entered my bloodstream, and then they scanned me. It was a bunch of radiation. So in a way, it's a pretty extreme scan, but I managed to stay peaceful and just keep my whole body in the same vibration, same level of peace. And it's different to surrender. It's more of an acceptance of whatever this scan's going to show, it's going to show, and I'm in the best place. So I have a lot more test results coming back tomorrow as well. So I'm meeting with the doctor, so looking forward to just having clarity. Yeah, I mean, there's some fear. But I've already been through so much fear that this is just more, and I manage it by just tuning into the bigger picture and doing emotional healing as I go along, because it's just as much for me an emotional healing journey as a physical one. Although on the physical side, I'm feeling stronger. I noticed actually yesterday when I woke up, because I wake up at 6 and then I have a couple hours of just sort of chill till 8 before I get up. And I noticed my adrenals didn't feel kind of empty and strained for the first time in I don't know how long. Probably since I had my daughter 7 years ago. So, yeah, that feels really good. Definitely getting stronger. They're giving me, they're rebuilding my body, all these nutrients and anti sort of cancer phytonutrients. And after the scan, the PET scan, they also gave me a radiation recovery bag of nutrients IV. They put it into the port here. And that, I felt really good about that. So that's the medical front. This morning I went on a nice hike with my friend, and I found this quartz. Isn't it cool? Some desert dirt. It's like orange. I'm gonna take it home. I got a few pieces for my kids. Souvenir. So what's ready to be shared today is I want to talk about healing the maternal line. And my maternal line and essentially why I was led in my life to a place where not only I kind of wanted to solve this issue of the feminine and her power, and could have access to the kind of solution, chemical solution, but also why as a human in this experience, ancestrally, I was so compelled to do that. And so I'm going to just share a bit about my maternal line. So my mother is from Iran, and her mother's mother from Shiraz, she died giving birth to my grandmother. So my grandmother didn't have a mother, and she had my mother when she was 15, so still a girl. And so my mother didn't really have a mother. And she didn't have a role model for a fully sort of blossomed woman as a mother to draw from. And she grew up in Tehran this is pre-revolution but still very patriarchal society where the fathers own the daughters until the husbands do. And then she was led into an arranged marriage at I think 19, which she then escaped from 3 months later and flew to the UK, where she, I think, just started from scratch with a couple £100 in her pocket and decided, well, it's a man's world, so let me emulate that. And then she had 2 daughters who, can't speak for my sister, but I was certainly pretty confused by this woman who was really powerful but didn't really believe in the feminine, and thought we had to kind of get things done either through the masculine or by emulating the masculine. And so when I then had a daughter, that was what connected me to this broader collective feminine consciousness and all this suppressed feminine energy that you feel once you become a mother, because all of a sudden you feel your mother, her experience, and her mother's experience, and her mother's experience. And what I felt was there hadn't really been any women for several generations who'd been mothered and truly mothered, and their daughters had a chance, had an opportunity to experience the full feminine. So I felt all the rage and repression, and I also felt, well, my daughter's such a force herself. I knew, well, this is a task, I have to rise to this task of mothering this girl without necessarily, as I seek back in my line, having any reference points for what that looks like. Although my mum has a lot of power, but knowing how to process it and manage it and walk with it and express it within the feminine and not emulating the masculine was a huge challenge for her. But I can see how what she did by really changing her life circumstance and then she didn't have necessarily that role model for us, but she put us into a girls' school where they very much, in London, where they very much promoted the idea that girls can achieve anything. So that helped to an extent. It was still a system of external validation though, grades, getting to Oxford and Cambridge, good university degree, and then going into some job that was validated by a paradigm still run on the values of the masculine. However, I see the huge sort of leap that she made, and when it came my turn to be a mother and raise a daughter, I had to make another really huge leap. And so as Alchemy of Women started to come through me, it was my initiation as a mother. And in a way, I felt like I could disentangle the reference point of the power my mum had from the mental health part where the brain couldn't manage it, and the emotional part, right, the inability to regulate, and take that raw power and put it through this alchemical process that was being downloaded through me, and transmute it and bring it out the other side, like in a purer form, in a form that could be embodied. And as I was doing it, feed that directly into my daughter. And so, looking back, and of course after then, I think there would be a period of settling, and then I would go teach that program to other women, and that would initiate my ability to transfer that process, that energy to other women. So it was like a multi-step process. And until now, I haven't had time to reflect on the first part, which was the part where it moved through me initially and directly to my daughter. It was kind of like live field work down my maternal ancestral line. It was very intense because my daughter was young, my kids were young. My son was 2 and my daughter was 3 when Alchemy of Women started coming in. And so I was in those early days of just like no sleep and, you know, the tantrums, the intensity, still recovering from the births and rebuilding, like all my hair fell out when Lola turned 2. And it was so intense because you know, you can feel your mom processing behind you, your daughter needs something in front of you, and then you're there in the middle and you're getting stretched. Like it would stretch my cells and it would kick things out. I was detoxing and bringing in new energy at the same time. And I don't think really anyone around me knew what was going on. And I was just in it, you know. The only way was through. Similar to how I feel now in this healing process through the breast cancer. I'm just in it. And got to walk the walk, not skip any steps, and play my part. And obviously back then, those sort of 4 years ago, the gap between what I was trying to do and what others were ready for was so huge that it was quite isolating for me. And there was another layer, because when I would start to teach, I wanted to deliver this work pure, right? Didn't want my personal field to affect the outcome. I wanted to sort of resonate with the energy out, but I didn't want my sort of stuff. I mean, I'd been through the program already myself, so I knew what I had in me, the reference points for what I was teaching. But I had to kind of pull back my emotional self to allow just the work to go and land in the women. And just provide an energetic reference point without anything personal that could like kink the delivery of the energy, since we were doing something new. And as Einstein says, you know, the observer affects the outcome, that relativity theory. So there was kind of sandwiched again between the goddesses and the team that were bringing in the work and the women, because they each had demands of me. And again, I just had to put one foot in front of the other and play my part. But I do feel now, at the end of that process, just a backlog of really processing and feeling a huge liberation that I can now, I'm not in a space of owing anything to my daughter, to these women, to the team, the goddesses. Like, I fulfilled those roles and I walked along those paths. And now, what I owe is really to myself, my heart, to my body, who gave me these children, who nourished these children with her milk and helped me become, you know, the kind of mother that I was striving for, and an example that I hadn't had. And knowing, you know, we all have failed, but it's not really about that. It's just about moving into your greatest potential, doing your best. And yeah, as my dad says, fail better. And that's evolution. You know, that's what we're here to do as humans. And I feel, as a sort of the female consciousness now, she's here now to recalibrate. And I feel like I did the big work. you know, I did my bit. Shed some major karma. And, you know, what I'm going through now will just propel me into this next phase, which is the building of the new paradigm, centered around this creation energy of the feminine. And it feels lighter and brighter and emotionally liberating and just free. So I'm looking ahead, and I pulled this card last week and it said, you're already doing it, keep facing your true north. So sending blessings to my female ancestral line and all of your female ancestral lines and our daughters, and this moment in time, this opportunity for the feminine to rise. Thanks for listening. That was a bit longer, a bit meatier. See you next time. Bye.